What's up, everybody? Welcome to today's edition of Everyday Discipline, where we decode, deconstruct, and reverse engineer self-discipline for you to get whatever it is you want in your life. My name is Brent Kokel. I am your host. Audio-only listeners don't notice anything different, but those of you who are watching on YouTube, it's a little more casual today. Normally record these on Mondays, but today we're doing it on a Saturday because I feel like I got a cough coming on, and I don't want to make anybody who listens to this just listen to me cough. And I record 3 episodes a week no matter what, and I publish 3 episodes a week no matter what. I would not be disciplined and doing what I talk about telling everybody to do if I didn't consistently put out the shows. So you guys get a Saturday show, you guys get a casual show who's watching on YouTube, you guys that are on audio only, I sound exactly the same. Maybe a little bit more energy because I get to be a little bit louder. There's less people around. There's nobody in the office today other than just me, so this is what you get. But normally, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to tell you a story, I'm going to link it up to a lesson, and then a practical application for how that works inside of at least my life, and then it's up to you to figure out how it works in your own life. I'm not here to tell you what to do. There's plenty of people out there that will be happy to tell you what to do. I'm here to try to make you think. Think about yourself. Think about your own actions and what that says about your true intentions and what your true desires are. If you see something about yourself inside of the message today, or if you see something inside of yourself in the call to action that says, man, I really need to do something about that, then that's up to you. But I'm not going to here tell you exactly what to go do. That's not my place. My place is simply to share some perspective, hopefully open the way that you think about your own situation. And then if it compels you to act and you're inspired by that, great. I'm not here to motivate you. Motivation is borrowing somebody else's energy rather than using it on your own. And when you borrow somebody else's energy, you've got to pay it back with interest. And interest is a bitch, especially with inflation that's going on right now. So I don't want you to have to deal with that. But with that, wow, this is a 2-minute ramble. We should get on with the episode because actually I have a really good story and a really good lesson today that I'm sure is impacting a lot of people. I know that it impacted me. So I drive around a big truck. It's an F-150 Raptor, but it's got a 4-inch lift kit on it, 37s, matte black paint. Like it looks like the Death Star. Like if Darth Vader had a truck or if Batman had a truck, this truck would be it. And I drive my truck around everywhere I go. And we live in somewhat of a rural area, like it's suburban, but it's also rural suburban. So there's suburban where you've got all the houses and the little white picket fences and the little lots with the sidewalks. And then we're suburban, meaning that we've got neighbors, but we are a little bit out in the country. So I drive my big truck around in the sort of country type of thing. And there's a lot of wildlife around, and squirrels are plentiful. There's so many squirrels that are out that live near our house. And I drive along this kind of curvy road in order to get into my office. And I'm driving down the road in my truck the other day, and there's a squirrel that's crossing the road. And I was probably going maybe 40, 45 miles an hour. The squirrel makes it like 80% of the way across, and then you can tell that it senses I'm coming up on it. Now my truck, like it hears the tires, it doesn't hear the exhaust because Raptors sound awful, but it's like it knows I'm coming. It knows I'm coming. It can sense me coming. And I see it up there, and it's looking forward and it's looking backward. It's looking to the side of the street that it's 80% of the way towards, that it ran across the street to get to. Then it's looking back going, and I can tell what's going on in its squirrel brain going like, should I keep going? Should I go back? Like, what should I do? Like, I'm really, really confused right now. And it doesn't know which way to go. And so it freezes until the very last second. And it starts to move back towards the way that it was originally going to go. But by that point, it was too late. And I ran the squirrel over. And I feel bad about that. Like, I'm not a squirrel murderer. I don't like the idea of anything being killed. And so I felt bad about this. But obviously, there was nothing I could do. There was nothing I could do. The truck, I tried to swerve out of the way of it. And then it ran back towards the direction I didn't think it was going to go. But here's the lesson inside of this, guys, is that there's no bad decision. There's only indecision. I'm going to repeat that again. There is no bad decision. There is only indecision. How often do you get stuck analyzing your options instead of moving? Most people, that's where they get stuck. But you might be thinking about this in the context of they haven't even done anything yet. But I'm talking about it in a different context, right? That squirrel clearly knew what it wanted. It wanted to get to the side of the road that would have been on my right as I'm driving down the road. It was 80% of the way there. I watched it run 80% away across the street. It knew where it wanted to go, but it got to a place where there was a variable, something that it wasn't expecting. And because of that, it froze, thinking like, what's the best thing I need to do here? How can I figure out what I need to do? Now, this relates to what we do as human beings. Obviously, we're not worried so much about getting run over in the middle of the street. And if a car was coming and we were 80% of the way there, I'm pretty sure that you and me would both decide to bolt and haul ass as fast as we could the last 20% of the way, and we would make it to our destination, hopefully not getting squished like Frogger. But this happens when you start to get momentum towards any goal that you're trying to achieve. That could be a business goal, that could be a body goal, that could be a goal in your marriage if you're repairing that. Like all these different things are momentum that starts to build. Things are going well for you. You're getting wins, you're chalking them up. You're beginning to believe that the transformation you've been telling yourself you want to make and telling all the other people around you that you want to make is something that might actually happen this time. But then what happens? A variable pops up. Your version of me driving down the street in my giant truck happens, a variable that you haven't anticipated, something that you didn't think was going to be in your path of travel. All of a sudden now you've got a new problem to solve. Do you go this way? Do you go that way? Wait, maybe this way, maybe that way. I don't know what's going to happen. So you decide to sit there and think like, what is it that I'm going to do? Like, how is this going to be the case? Like, I ran into this a couple of months ago, and it's funny how like all these stories that I tell and like these lessons that I learn are things that are really applicable when I either look back on things that I've screwed up or things that I just like need to refresh my memory on. And this whole thing about no bad decision, only indecision, it's like, it's funny, I talk to people about this all the time that are inside my consulting practice, and it's like, you should take your own advice, brother. You should take your own advice. And like, I think about this that happened a couple of months ago where I was in a spot where I was cash flow tight because I'd spent a bunch of money on ads and it didn't work out exactly the way that I wanted to, and I overspent. And so I was tight in cash flow. I was okay in profitability, and I was okay in my future cash flow because of contracts that were going to continue to pay, but I was tight in just regular cash flow. And so I'm thinking like, what's the way out of this? Because I do need to go acquire some more new customers that are going to pay up front so I can get more cash flow into the business and then do a bunch of other things that I want to do, invest in the growth in the long term and all of that. And I was sitting there going like, well, man, I could go back into ads, but wait, that didn't give me the massive return on ad spend that I was looking for. I'm not really sure what's going on with the algorithms inside of Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. So that doesn't really work. So I can't go do that. And then, well, people are talking to me about this like native direct message strategy on Facebook. And I'm going like, that sounds like I don't think that's going to work because, well, shit. It's like I would never buy something from somebody that just sent me a random DM. So I'm not doing that either. And I'm sitting there all over the place, not making any decision. And I'm sitting there with the cash that's in the bank, and I'm not growing, and I'm not doing anything, and I'm just sitting there in a place of indecision because I was so scared to make the wrong decision that I wouldn't make any decision. Now flash my brain into the squirrel's brain, and that's exactly what it was probably thinking about moments before its death. It was thinking, man, I just don't want to make the wrong decision. If I go towards the side of the road that I wanted to get to, then I don't know, maybe that won't work and I'll get run over and I'll die. Maybe I should go back because I know it was safe back there, at least it used to be, and I don't know if the truck's going to make it here on time, and I don't know, I'm worried I could die that way too. It was so worried about making the wrong decision, it made no decision, and that's exactly what I was doing. I was sitting there for like 6 weeks making absolutely zero decision about what needed to happen to go forward. I was so scared. I was petrified of making the wrong decision because I'm going like, dude, if I make another wrong decision, I could really like screw myself over here. So I don't want to make any decision. I'm safe right here. But ultimately I wasn't, because there is no bad decision. There's only indecision. I would have learned something any single way. And so I ended up making a decision to go about client acquisition in an entirely new way that I hadn't ever tried before. Actually physically mailing something to people. It's actually really cool. It comes with a little video like screen inside of it with a pre-recorded video, and it's working out amazingly well. I had to make a decision though. I couldn't just sit there in indecision. I needed to make a decision. Here's the deal with it. The marketplace keeps moving no matter what. Marketplace is moving. There are people who are making decisions right now that are doing what you want to do. If you're in business and you're not making a decision, the marketplace is kept on moving. So if you're not moving, if you're a place in indecision, the marketplace is moving past you because it's the indecision that kills you. It's not the mistaken decision that kills you. So the thing I want to ask you today, and if you're in business, great, ask yourself this question about business. If you listen to the show and you're not in business where you don't own a business or you don't control your own income, then use it in another domain of your life. Or it could be in business where you're deciding to go to another job or try to get a better job at your current company, like whatever it is. But ask yourself this question: where are you evaluating options instead of making a decision? And what's driving the indecision? Was it fear like I had and probably like the squirrel had? And we know how that ended up for the squirrel. It would have ended up the exact same way for me in a business context had I not made a decision and just pushed forward. But where is it? Where are you evaluating options instead of making a decision? Ask yourself that in the next 24 to 48 hours. You've got to take quick action on this, otherwise you'll forget about it. Even if it impacted you today, like you've got to take action on this. And if you do, I promise it's going to improve your life because there's some place that's hidden from you right now that you're not making a decision. Find what that is and then make a decision, knowing that there isn't a bad one. No bad decisions, only indecision. All right, guys, that's it. That's the show for the day. Do me a favor before you leave this episode. If you're watching on YouTube, please like this video. If you are listening on any of the podcast platforms, do me a big favor and give me a rating and or a review today. I would greatly appreciate that. It certainly helps get the message out to more people, which is really what I'm looking to do with this. I'm not looking to sell you anything on this podcast. I am genuinely doing this because I think there's a lot of people that accept the life they have versus building the life they ultimately want. Discipline's the cornerstone of doing that. Making money is a critical part of that, though you can't buy happiness with it. I can attest to the fact that it certainly creates stress when you do not have it, and a lot of that stress goes away once you've got enough. So that's why I'm doing this. If you give it a rating and a review, it'll certainly help more people get to it, which is exactly what I hope for everybody out there that's listening to it. So thank you very much for doing that if you have not done that already. And as always, guys, I'm going to do my job and come back next time. I want you to do your job and you come back too.